Hello everybody and welcome back. You are currently watching the Quake Pro League. Well, my name is Ketchup, and up next it's going to be Rapha versus Sirius.
Yes, this one is going to be a tail test really for Sirius now, isn't it? I kind of feel like from Rapha's ballpark thing in terms of how he wants to try and go about this and assess the situation, he's going to have a game plan on terms of what to avoid to give any kind of advantage in terms of gun skill and how in terms of how Sirius is going to play this matchup, because we know he can play a little bit slow, a little bit defensive at times, but his aim skill backs up so well, and it's so difficult to really contend with, especially for some of these items. So I'm sure Rapha's going to have a set strategy in mind. Of course, the picks and bans is going to play a little bit of a part towards that. But Sirius, though, overall, coming back in the Quake Pro League after what we've seen so far, and in terms of his performance, has been looking pretty damn good and much better than we anticipated. As you can see, those victories, the 4 wins in a row after that first initial loss is what really eased him nicely back into the Quake Pro League. But you can see, in terms of some of the top contenders, he has been struggling against like Dramus, Zen, Kilson, Razy, but that was also quite recently as well. So I'm sure he's got a little bit of work to do in order to figure out how to really bridge that gap. He's kind of hit like a skill ceiling so far in terms of his dueling experience and his adaptation, and just trying to figure out exactly what he can do just to break through it.
Yeah, this is where things get a bit different for Sirius, though, because, yeah, if you look at those records, a lot of the losses, especially the recent losses, come from the absolute higher end of that leaderboard. Now, if we're talking about a player that's high up in the leaderboard, look no further than Rapha, who is very much one of those players to beat. And, you know, there's a strong argument to be made of greatest Quake player of all time because of the accolades in not only all the previous games, but especially now the new chapter, the latest story in the history book, which has been Quake Champions since 2017. Just look at that win-loss record, is that, you know, if we're looking at a lot of victories, you're kind of looking at it right now. So I feel like just statistically, Rapha has quite a sincere advantage here against Sirius, but there's very, very few players that have the playstyle of Sirius. And again, it is that pure aim that makes him such a frightening player for so many, that it's not aim at the expense of something else. You know, I think there are some players in some games that will excel in one area and kind of struggle everywhere else because they put almost too much effort into that one section where the whole needs a lot of work. Sirius isn't really that kind of player. The guy can play some damn impressive Quake on a fundamental level, but then just has some of the world's best aim on top of that, which is a very frightening combination. Why I'm not convinced it's going to work as a whole against Rapha is that Rapha has fought aim gods in the past and has still been able to conquer, and that's just the hallmark of his pure level of skill and fundamentals, really burying everything else. And that's something that Rapha is known for, is his adaptability above all. If he knows an opponent and he has any idea of your tendencies, he kind of has the upper hand before the match has even begun.
It's quite a hard thing to explain because, like, even just from personal experience, like when you do play against a lot of these aim gods or these crazy people with gun skill, you kind of feel like it's still very easy to kind of manipulate and how to try and get around it, even not just for strategic values, but of course with abusing the map geometry in a lot of ways and trying to at least force out a lot of the situation to try and make it feel that uncomfortable that they can't really excel off that. And for Sirius, as you rightly mentioned, though, he is starting to better adapt. He is starting to realise what needs to be done in order to try and pursue a little bit further. But until he breaks that ceiling, because you've seen the win record doesn't lie. Against everyone else, he's perfectly fine. But against the top 6 or top 8, you know, not even being able to steal a map at all in the slightest. He's come close, yeah, sure. But problem is now we've only got like 6 weeks left. So this is where he's going to have to really try and knuckle down. And picks and bans could sway, but we'll have to see when the time comes.
Funny you should mention that, because I'm pretty sure they're good to go. And how much will it change things? Corrupted Keep makes its debut today with the Ranger versus Strog, and that's an extremely common matchup that we see on that map. The Nyx versus the Athena for Awoken, and then Blood Covenant. Surprisingly, the biggest thing that stands out really in this entire thing is that Sirius has opted for BJ on Blood Covenant. Now, I do wonder if sort of one of the ideas behind that is that dual heavy machine gun. Because in a matchup where someone can deny rather important weaponry from you on Blood Covenant, the rail can very often be the biggest thing to take away from someone. You know, the second you've got 2 heavy machine guns, not only are you now able to compete with someone even if you don't have a rail, you're actually putting a lot of pressure on them to hit their shots. Because if they're not, double heavy machine gun at range on a map like that might be even scarier than a rail by itself.
Yeah, you can see straight away the Anarchy, Strog, Athena, Slash taken out straight away in those first 2 maps. And you kind of feel like when there's no slide champions available, or maybe one with a little bit of mobility, the Doom comes up every single time as the 3rd map, especially when it's on Blood Covenant. We've seen it time and time. We've seen it before. We've seen Kilson bring up quite a few times. And for Sirius bring up the BJ, I don't blame him. He's not really too fussed about how he should counter pick or how he should go about the situation in terms of how to assess it, because he does have to deal with a Slash. He does have to deal with an Anarchy or anything like that. He'd rather just go with the bare bones with the aim skill and then just see what he can do and catch him with that dual wood, which I fully respect that. And I do fully also respect that instead of trying to counter in any way, shape or form, you go by what you're good at, go by your advantages. Don't just do something because it's kind of meta, so to speak, which is quite nice to see, because we've seen him do it quite a few times with the BJ pick on Molten Falls as well. But Required to Keep, you couldn't be any more standard. Like, Strong versus Ranger, like, it's pretty much how it happens almost every single time, depending on when CK is picked. And Awoken with the Athena versus next matchup, that's going to be very interesting in itself. But I am curious to see how Sirius is going to go about with the BJ against Rapha, because Rapha, we've seen him use the Doom maybe once or twice in the past, but of course that's when Slash and Anarchy isn't available. But yeah, I am very excited to see how this first map's going to go. This should suit more for Sirius in terms of how things go about, but Rapha's very good on CK, and Ruins, we know that Rapha bans Ruins every single time without fail, but it doesn't mean he's not good at Ruins. He's actually still, very good on that map in general, but just doesn't seem to obviously want to select it for unknown reasons. But yeah, for so far, but with a CK pick as the first map, Sirius needs to get out the gate strong for this one to make it work.
Yeah, Rapha's the kind of player that leaves nothing able to pick up. And I don't mean items, I mean opportunities. Rapha is one of those players that when you look at the fundamentals and you look at, above all else at this point, the experience, Rapha will very rarely leave you an opportunity. So to compete with that, it's scary to fight an opponent who demands you play to perfection to have a chance. And that is the level that Rapha is at. You know, you look at these players like Rapha or Venga or even Kilson, of course, let's not forget Kilson. You can't get caught on an off day. You have to be playing your best if you want to bring it, and that is a scary thing to bring forward in competition. Now, the aggressive push has been made instantly as Sirius with the Orb, Super Shotgun, and the early aggression. And I like that push. You're now forcing Rapha into a weird situation before we've even realistically started anything serious. Not too shabby. Still has to be careful around this corner because that wasn't the cleanest frag in the world. However, more of that super shotgun. Can we get a good little bit of spread? Who cares? We go to the heavy machine gun, the right choice for the occasion, and I like that.
Yeah, Sirius looking extremely strong already. Rapha is back in EU, so we'll be all EU servers. As Rapha looking to train at the team house in preparation for QuakeCon, a minute in. And Sirius just biding his time for now. Still has that heavy machine gun. The body put its good use already, but better use from Rapha here. He's taken quite a brunt of damage, but does pick up the Mega. Light will be up soon. And just looking for that rotation, but you can see Rapha being a bit more active around the map to try and circulate around and try and get behind them, but Sirius is just walking by, just throwing a few defensive rockets so you can get what damage done. But Rapha's getting quite a lot of damage done considering the angles he's had to shoot some of his rockets from here, as he is going to back away 3 seconds until this heavy, and this is going to be big for Sirius.
One of those well, I would say trades, but I think that rapha doing an interesting play, you know, pushing forward and maybe trying to get a little bit of extra damage first, take away some of that armor, and an aggressive push. Shotgun doesn't do a huge amount of damage, but rapha's rocket certainly does in return. As now 1 and 2. Looking to maybe catch Sirius on the retreat. Sirius can't be too aggressive here. Obviously, part 1 of the objective is getting the weapons, and then the rest of it is actually playing the match. The heavy's going to spawn, but not in a position of which rapha can do anything about. Now, Sirius actually kind of doing the opposite thing that rapha did originally, which is knowing an item is free and uncontested, pushes forward for some damage first, and then picks it up with the added bonus of putting a delay between them. That is where the snowball of Corrupted Keep can be so legendary, is that when that delay begins and you cycle that whole map, it can be a nightmare for your opponent to claw back at the match at all.
Mega up in 2. rapha does have that peeker. So just approaching that 3rd minute. Mega has been picked up. In the end, though, rapha just looking to see what information he can find. Realizes that he is towards the heavy machine gun and the light and the rocket area. Again, good heavy machine gun coming out from Sirius just to keep his distance, but also holding the angle as well to give himself that first initial shot here. As rapha is trying to fight back a little bit. Does have the light available to use. Or to pick up, rather, but still has to peek on top of it. So right now, even though Sirius has picked up the Mega, he could try and contest that heavy at the same time, but looks like he doesn't want to, which is a little bit understandable. He has got about a 50 HP stack advantage with a little bit of armor decrease, but again, just waiting for that perfect opportunity now. As rapha also gets a little bit of damage done, but so does Sirius. It looks like we have a pure engagement here. Sirius has done quite a lot of damage, mind you, as he backs away towards the red room to pick up that light, and rapha recovering himself, but Mega has been picked up once again, and this could be a chance maybe for Sirius to also contest this heavy.
The aggressive repositioning there, thanks to the orb, is going to swap over there now, with Sirius able to take the heavy. And now from this point, the trade was an orb in the process. Not going to be necessary in a fight like this. And rapha is going to be able to keep a lot more of a safer idea over this next fight, knowing that the orb's no longer there, but you're still having to fight someone that can do a lot more damage than your average player. And this is where rapha will have to put so much thought and care into it. Early here on the heavy, but by no means wants to stay around, because look, if you're there really early on a position like that, an ambush or someone pushing in with a close range rocket, or especially on this map, a super shotgun, patchy or not, it's definitely going to be kind of scary. Right, the aggressive orb is made. A little bit of the defensive rockets there for rapha. Sirius going really far in, and what, did that wrap round the corner or something? Holy moly.
Kind of felt that way, didn't it? Halfway point, only 3-1, mind you. It looks like Sirius's defensive style with his aim skill to boot has been quite beneficial, but the stacks aren't in his favor here. He's trying to get away, but at the same time, just trying to make sure he makes the quick rotation. rapha comes out with a shotty, but he's not exactly too healthy himself as Mega's up in the next couple of seconds. Sirius was quite tempted to push on forward, but of course, with the weaponry in his arsenal, couldn't really continue to pursue that, as heavy is up in 5, Ryan.
It's a relatively low-scoring game, considering what we're seeing on Corrupted Keep and with how back and forth these two have been. And now rapha, an opportunity perhaps. The opening is made here near Rocket. With this Mega being the next goal, the next mission. There'll be a clean drop down there from rapha. Takes a fair amount of damage in the process, but thankfully can keep Sirius relatively on the same level of stack. Was Sirius as worried about the Mega, though, as he was the heavy? I think, well, the answer is before you. That was clearly the more important item, and that rocket was absolutely delicious from rapha, as now it has been able to even things up. The push being made on the peeker. The extra added information right near the end, too, where you can see where the opponent's been knocked away. I'm now going to make my chase. Whoa, that tri-bolt! Owie!
God almighty, couldn't get more tri-bolt damage if he tried. 3.5 minutes left, and Sirius is on the brink Potentially giving Rapha his 4th initial frag. Let's see how good his defense is now. As Rapha's not really having any of it, just diving straight on in, and I think he's just trying to do what he can. Left on 60 HP, and Mega now up in 2, so Rapha manages to get the lead, is refilling his LG count. Now rotating back around, just barely an LG range. Done quite a fair amount, mind you. Did a fair amount with the Pika as well. Oh my God, that Australia did so much from that range. And Rapha, oh, the tri-bolt
Lovely
well
angle.
through the window. My goodness.
Yeah, it's very rare that you see someone use that window for a bit of extra damage, but it's always a treat when you see it.
Yeah.
These creative little angles that these creative little Quake players come up with. But now with 2.5 minutes left to go here, Lethal, it's still too close to call. It has seemed quite heavily that Rapha's been the one leading the charge. You know, there's been a lot more aggression coming out from Rapha. There's been a lot more assertiveness, I suppose. But Sirius, with a strong defensive position, has always been ready to repay the damage. It hasn't always resulted in a frag, of course, but, however, hang on a minute. Caught mid-movement, and that's going to be LG City, and Rapha pulling away in these closing moments of map number 1. This could be the beginning of the end, especially with that major item just being collected there by Rapha, who can push forward. I think Sirius was looking for a potential ambush around that corner, though. The orb was ready, and he did have a rocket in hand. But Rapha not going to be... Oh, good Lord! Surviving that one is everything, because now Rapha survives. Rapha takes away the heavy. Rapha picks up a lot of the light healths that are nearby, and with Sirius only an LG in hand. However, this is Sirius's LG, and that is not the same as everyone else's.
No, no, it's not. My God. I knew I had a little bit of height in terms of his aim, but my goodness, 1.5 minutes left, and oh, Sirius is looking mean and keen to continue his aggression, isn't he, Ryan? Is he now pushing around the corner? Heavy's up in 5, which means for Sirius, he's going to have to give that up. He won't be able to contest it anymore, but at least he could pick up a light for his troubles along his journey. And he's going to see now what he needs to do next, because, of course, does have the orb in his back pocket. 1 minute left, plenty of time to try and bring this back to 6 apiece. And he is going to expect Rapha to maybe be hanging around that tripod area, but instead, he will find him directly in front of him, mind you. And he's got to try and figure out how to get about finding the best way possible to bring himself back. As he's picked up the heavy, got a great stack. Problem is now, in terms of height, Rapha's going to be above and away. He's going to try and chase him down for the orb, and Rapha now just backing him down with that tri-bout. He's going to come in with the LG, but will he be able to? This is going to be the issue. But even if he gets the frag, it's not going to be the cleanest. But he does get a mega.
Now Rapha choosing to concede that item and prioritize putting space between them. And it is taking a long time. The positions that Rapha is prioritizing, I mean, he has so many potential escape routes and also defensive positioning. Now, I can't fault Sirius for pushing through the corridor like that. I mean, at the end of the day, you haven't got any time. You have to try and do something, and unfortunately there was not enough to work out. Now, a hard-fought match. Rapha able to take that first map. But Sirius kept that nice and competitive all the way through. And this series has only just started.
Yeah, just checking at the moment. 22 items for Rapha and only 16 for Sirius. But Sirius did do only 70 damage more, mind you. That was really crazy stuff. 29% LG from Rapha, of course, for Sirius, 41%. That's probably low in his eyes, isn't it? In comparison to what we normally see. But you saw from there, Sirius just standing his ground for the majority of the time in a lot of those engagements, waiting for Rapha to... Of course, we know that he's just going to go in extremely quick in order to try and throw his aim off a little bit and add a bit of creativity in the mindset, which did help in quite a lot of ways. But Sirius had a very good start, making good use of that heavy machine gun, as you can rightly see, and just being on par and just trying to make good use of the orb as well. But problem is for Rapha, it's just kind of a matter of time for him. He had to be very patient a lot of the time. He's trying to throw him off quite a few occasions as well, which I do like to see in terms of his aggression, just making him question some of his decisions. And yeah, after Rapha had that huge stack and then able to get pretty decent, sizable item control for a couple of minutes, that's when it completely changed things. But in the end, though, well played from Sirius. That is pretty impressive, considering Rapha's very strong on Corruptor Keep overall.
Control can often be the aim of the game for someone like Rapha, and that can allow you to deal with so many different playstyles that a player has. You know, look at someone like Sirius, where his damage output, the difference in items was from a armor sense, pretty important, whereas Sirius was able to split the damage right down the middle. And it kind of just goes to show the importance of keeping those items on your side, especially the armor in those instances where damage can be kind of blink and you've missed it kind of situations that Sirius often
that's
has.
true.
But look, if Rapha can control this map and absolutely by no means, be a slouch on his own accuracy, that is where players that have more damage output than most are not going to have that be a significant one-up, I suppose, for Rapha, because it is a playstyle he has experienced before, but it was a playstyle he had to respect, or a strength. I say playstyle, a strength he had to respect, very much so. Now, Awoken, potentially very different experience, because we have one champion that's known for mobility and creativity on that, and then you have someone like Nyx, who is extremely hide and seek, right? Can be a lot more, you got to find me twice to make something of this. So I think it's going to be two very, very different dynamics here, with Rapha being the one a lot more out in the open, looking for that opportunity, trying to hunt down Sirius, with Sirius on the opposite end of that. Obviously, you're going to have to be very, very careful. We've seen Nyx today, when she does not work, she does not work. I think look no further than the first match of the day we saw with that one that was a bit of a bloodbath, but I'm liking the showing from Sirius so far. You're going up against a player that many people will favor to defeat you, and you've made it very, very close. I know obviously it wasn't a win, and the win is what players care about, but it was a competitive match.
It certainly was. He didn't let it spiral out of control, and I'm sure he won't do in this one either. He's quite aggressive with the Ghost Ward the majority of the time. So let's see what he can do this time round against the Athena. Again, it's not going to be, by any means, an easy feat. And just a reminder, they're going to be playing on EU on all three of his servers. As Rapha is currently in EU right now, as we're going to be focusing on from his perspective. Just adding all the weapons to his arsenal, as he does miss that first initial rail. But going to drop down for now, as Sirius is actually backed away, just sitting above the heavy, looking pretty, already in a good position, but it's actually circled around towards the heavy mega choke point. It does consume that first initial rail, but Rapha does get the heavy, as the timings only a couple of seconds apart for now. Just a misplaced rocket there, but Rapha's actually still quite weak. Sirius could have the chance to dive in here, but instead prioritising that tri-bolt, getting so much damage done, and Rapha has to back away again. Oh my goodness, 10 HP is looking to try and get away, which he does, and survive, but for how long for?
Yeah, even with those two lights, and actually even this one, still railable. We're just about to pick up some more around the side near Mega, but it took a long time for Rapha to be safe from even a single rail from Sirius. And in that meantime, Sirius was able to soak up all of the important items in the map. Now an aggressive push is being made. Defensive rockets. I love that option from Rapha, though, because if there's one option that's going to allow us to stay alive amidst a massive chase by an opponent that's going to pepper me with LG, those instant direct rockets are the #1 tool to keep someone from chasing you too much. Now Rapha has been able to stay alive, and still is for now. We have to set our sights on the next objective. In this case now, Heavy has been picked up by Sirius to continue that control of the map. Rapha, the mobility that he's going to bring forward is going to help him a lot in these situations, but it's not going to keep you alive all the time. Sirius saw to that with the aggressive Ghost Walk. Absolutely wonderfully used was that. And now a 1-0 begins for Sirius, but actually missing that rail, missing a couple of these shots here, and Rapha gets away. I feel like this is just going to be one of those maps. It's going to be one of those tense maps. Every shot counts.
Yeah, that's the kind of vibe I'm getting at the moment. And I must say, everyone's rockets have been so much better this season compared to previous seasons. I'm sure Garp is probably watching this thinking, don't worry, mate, I'll
show you a thing or two.
I'll show you how it's done, yeah, in a couple months' time. Oh, I barely missed that rail, but had the angle. Oh, the aggressive Ghost Walk comes in here, Ryan. 5 seconds till the heavy's up. It does catch him. So we'll give him a little bit of a helping hand here, as he has picking up the heavy. And look at this, look at the stack difference as well. You kind of feel like it's just a matter of time. Just depends on how Rapha's going to approach this from that defensive perspective. Good defensive rockets there, but how long for? Good try by 72 as well.
Absolutely, and it forced rapha on the retreat, soaking up all of the light armor and healths that existed near the LG room. Sirius remains on the hunt now with 10 seconds to go until Ghost Walk. This is actually quite a scary item to fight. Cannot tank another one of those rails. And rapha shuts that one down. That's now going to be equalized 3.5 minutes into this map. But the pressure on spawn with these two champions, it makes all the difference. You spawn with basically no armor to your name, right? And someone has all the weapons they could ever want, all the ammo they could ever want. And it's a very different experience when you're on the back foot. Sirius. Oh. Doesn't quite hit these rails. rapha trying to repay it. As long as rapha has the information, though, that's good enough in a situation like this, because we can now set our sights towards the Mega, the next health.
Yeah, rapha's actually been doing a good job just staying alive and keeping the scoreline as it is, because rapha's only got 3 items. Sirius has got 13 items so far. As rapha does hit the first rail.
Make that 14.
He's up in 2. And yeah, it's just going to continue on. As he's going to try and back away. At least he manages to get the heavy. 4.5 minutes in.
Rather expensive secure there for rapha, using both of the grapple hooks to do that. But if the alternative is stick around, take damage, and your opponent has a chance to take the item away from you, then I'm sure that's a worthy trade. Now rapha is pushing towards this Mega, but I think at the same time, with Sirius being able to hold off and save that Ghost Walk to get out without being challenged, that's now another item that has been taken away from rapha. Another close scoring match. Sirius has been absolutely bringing it to rapha for both of these maps so far. I would be curious to see if Sirius can take this one even further. Getting a victory against rapha this weekend would be a rather impactful result for him, I think you could definitely say, Harry.
I'd say so. The only thing I'm worried about is the fact that Sirius has had all these items, but hasn't been able to claw back any frags at all.
No, he hasn't been able to do much with it.
Okay, so rapha does get a little bit of tri-bot there until Sirius has made that shot there. Oh, what a rail coming out from rapha there. Oh, Sirius not one of his own, but does get cleaned up. But you can see it's still pretty weak from that last engagement. As now Sirius looking to collect all the weapons in his arsenal once again. The Mega has been picked up. Heavy is in 10. Sirius not really prime stack to try and work with. You can see he's trying to at least get a bit of chip whilst he goes for the heavy, but that's going to cost him his 3rd death. And now still got 4 minutes left to play.
Always get nervous when a rocket connects at that point near the spawn. You wonder, is that going to score a ring out? Now, Sirius opted not to use the Ghost Walk there, held on to it, because to be fair, using it there and then just delaying the inevitable, you would have just been spawn fragged instantly. Not that it really made a difference, because the frag off spawn happened anyway, but rapha very, very quickly turning this from an even game to one that is being absolutely ran away with. That's now 6-1. Barely a minute ago, it was 1-1. rapha locking in the control, and this is the extra layer of things. Sirius has spent the majority of this map having most of the items. It's why rapha has had to be so careful every step of the way. There is no Ghost Walk ready for Sirius, which is going to mean Nyx is going to drop again. Now, from this point on, rapha has control, and this is the absolute opposite effect. This is where things are different to how they have been. He's got all the stack in the world, and now he has momentum. And now these frags are starting to add up. Almost one frag every 10 seconds, it feels like. Here comes another one. rapha 9-1. In the blink of an eye, it went from close to an absolute bloodbath. Where you going?
God,
Where you going? Get back here. Get back here.
This is what I was worried about. I saw the item control from Sirius, which is great. Don't get me wrong, just putting all that pressure on, but the frags just weren't following suit. And now, this is where I was asking myself, what's going to happen when rapha gets full map control in the items? And this is exactly what we expected. As it seems like Sirius having a bit of an issue. Seems they may have to restart, but I assume we're just going to probably go straight into this 3rd map. But I don't think they're going to, of course, continue on due to the scoreline there. But yeah, so I assume we're going to go to a 3rd map. We'll make sure and double check. But from the scoreline, it's understandable if we just go straight onto the 3rd instead.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those cases where I actually I'm not using my own in-game spectator for the show, so I can't read chat. So if the players are mentioning things, sorry, I will not be able to highlight it because I can't see it. Lethal can, so maybe Lethal can fill you in.
I was just about to, but we're going back to lobby now. Literally,
right, cool.
As I was doing it. So that was, yeah, it was good timing, good timing. I think he was having a bit of an issue, but I think he was basically saying, yeah, it's, scoreline map, but we'll double check that momentarily anyway, because I don't want to make any debatable assumptions, so to speak. But that's what I'm going to assume anyway with the third map, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, either way, all we can really do is talk about the match as it happened. And from our point of view, we could see Sirius have an impressive level of control, but was unable to really get much out of it. And I think the flip side of that was when rapha started to establish the items instead. It was a very, very, very different story. I think it's why we started to see so many frags, a daisy chain, one after the other. However, I'm going to kind of reserve analysis, I suppose, for a match like that. If one of the two players is having issues, then there's really only so much you can do with that. Yeah. We're going into Blood Covenant next, I assume, which is going to be BJ versus Doom. Now, the big thing to take away from this matchup is that choice of champion, the BJ coming out for Sirius. This is where I am the most interested because we've seen Doom a million times. We know what this champion is capable of on a map like this. It's just nice, safe, and reliable. And with someone like rapha behind the wheel, that's obviously going to work a great deal because rapha can focus on every other part of the map that's not just having to jump around and make these otherwise more challenging jumps. Maybe not challenging for rapha, but challenging for the rest of us. Now, Sirius, I just want to see what this BJ is going to bring. And, the first thought that enters my brain is that double heavy machine gun, especially near those points where, those rail fights happen near both of the major items. Maybe those rail fights happen on the high ground of the middle section near where Rocket is or something else. I'm going to be keeping an eye on that, and I really want to see what Sirius has to bring to the table here.
Yeah, I am as well. I think he was just quickly restarting his PC. He seems to be back in the lobby now, so it looks like things are, not too many delays, which is going to be good. And yeah, I think it's just nice to see players like Sirius being able to just pursue with champions which favours him and not just in terms of the meta as well. We've seen it on Molten Falls, we've seen it time and time again. And yeah, it just seems to be the go-to pick on Blood Covenant has been Doom. As soon as any of the slide champions or any champions with quite a lot of mobility and speed, so to speak, the Doom seems to come up every single time. And it's not even been just because it's the third map. We've seen it as the first and second map, which is a little bit weird in itself, but I suppose, like I said, each to their own really. It's like with Chron, for example, him and Chain Slash was available in Blood Covenant, but decided to go for the Doom and Visor pick anyway. So maybe he kind of felt like it was maybe not his choice, so to speak, not something he normally favors in terms of those slide champions. But in the end, though, we're going to see a Doom once again, and I think this is going to continue to be a common trend. You are right, though. Obviously, with the double jump and everything else like that, you save a little bit of HP. Of course, rocket jumping towards certain areas, it's a little bit easier and quicker and less hesitation to be able to employ to some parts of the map as well. So it does work a lot of wonders as well. And with the Berserk mode, it can be a little bit of a pain for your opponent as well. But we'll have to see how things are going to go. Of course, BJ, it's been a very good pick for Sirius in the past to complement his aim skill, and we're going to see if he's going to make a difference here. Of course, rapha has won the series, but we'll see if it can make it a 3-0, or at least Sirius can claw a map back going into this.
So if one of our players has had to go for a restart, and that, rest assured, as soon as that map's good to go, we'll jump in and we'll actually start seeing it as soon as it's ready. But I want to thank everyone for joining us so far. It's been a really fun day of games, and there's plenty more. We haven't even started the featured matchups, which are happening after this. But our final map between rapha and Sirius, Blood Covenant, it's going to be the Doomslayer versus the BJ. Two different poster boys from their own respective game here. And we'll see what that dual wield brings to the table.
Yeah, we will do indeed. As you can see, rapha already looking to get a little bit leery here with his aggression, but he's going to try and tri-bolt up, but that is not going to happen.
Oops.
No, he's just popping back down. Happens to the best of us. Happens to the best of us. I've seen it enough times on Blood Run. Quite a few times as the heavy is up. So is the Mega, mind you, but this is good from rapha. Pick up the rail, but also having to delay the timing of that heavy at the same time, just to throw Sirius off just a tad.
Actually, it looks like backing up and taking the item in return. So there has been a delay regardless, due to Sirius backing up and doing the exact same thing. Now looking for the chase down. Rapha more than ready for that escape route. And now actually, Sirius off the spawn, pushing forward. I must say, took me by surprise. You would have expected him maybe to take a safer route. Instead, Rapha punishes that with another frag. Although, to be fair, takes a lot of damage in the meantime. Not damage that he's going to have to worry about too much, though, as the Mega is now picked up by Rapha for a second time. Sirius caught retreating, and that's now going to be a third frag. A little bit worried about this movement. I'm not really sure what's happening with Sirius at the moment, but he's kind of just walking himself into danger. I don't know if that's frustration. I don't know if he's having some troubles, but either way, not what you want less than 2 minutes into that final map.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the exact same thing. I was even checking pings as well, just to make sure nothing's a little bit off key. But no, it seems to be okay for now. Maybe I think he did mention he was a little bit uncomfortable about something in that last map, but maybe it's affected his mental game just a tad. But he didn't seem annoyed or anything like that. It just seemed to accept the problem he had, but we'll carry on anyway with this map and just see how it goes. This series is going to try and deal with what he's got so far. But at least he's got the first frag, gets the heavy and the heavy machine gun, still requires the LG and the rockets, but it does pick that, mind you, saying that, as Rapha does drop down, use that berserk to try and get away, which he does. But this is looking much better now for Sirius. Has the item control, as well as the items being nowhere near in sync. He'll have time to contest both of these. And this is going to be his time to shine in order to try and claw his way back.
A good defensive position there from Rapha. They're just saying, if you're going to chase me down this way, then you have to accept there's a lot of incoming damage with your name on it. These defensive positions continue, but these rockets are absolutely wonderful for Sirius, who gets himself another frag on the board. He's only one behind Rapha now. And with one of these major items to pick up at the same time, that is going to force Rapha to respectfully disengage from that one. Sirius now not only overstacked health, but almost full armor at the same time. The tri-bolt. That tri-bolt hit Rapha, who's currently pretty tender. That certainly wouldn't have felt good. But Sirius, this is a element of control for him now, with an idea on both items, you would assume. The heavy is up, but I think Sirius is just looking to gather some information first. Now we're going to trade a little bit of damage just to get ourselves back up into position for this next major item. Now, Rapha, again, not challenging it. He's conceded 2 of these back-to-back, and it is kind of rare for Rapha to essentially just not make his presence known at least a little bit. I think he tried to there, and the Tribot certainly had other plans and said, no, thank you.
That is, excuse me, definitely the case. It's the first. Rapha's looking, oh, I like that as well. Trying to double back and just pretend that he was going to go around the corner to pick up the hourglasses, but of course instead, Sirius isn't a silly boy. He was expecting that and looking to try and push on a little bit further forward, as he does have that dual wield ready and waiting to use. Picks up the Mega, heavy's up in 15. Trying to get a decent rocket down if he can. Oh, a little bit unfortunate there, just manages to get around the corner. This is just circling back around, picks up the LG finally. His heavy's up in 5, but the problem is Rapha's already in position and he hits him with the rail. He could easily just rocket jump up and go forward if he can, but instead he's going to rotate back around, hopefully to try and catch Sirius, but goes up in the end, misses the first round, misses the second. But it's okay though, he's done the damage anyway, and just using that dual wield just to make him feel a little bit threatened in terms of map presence there, as Mega is still up, but wanted to get a little bit more out of it in case Rapha did rail him. He has got back for the TP, and Sirius now looking to rotate back around, and still not too comfortable going for this heavy from the low ground, which is understandable. Doesn't want to take too much unnecessary damage.
Certainly more of a deterrence was that dual wield. However, now Sirius caught into a fight. Oh, good lord, that rail certainly would have hurt Rapha a lot more than he would have liked. And that second shot was wonderful from Sirius, who has now equalized 3 frags apiece and in position for this next item. Oh, sadly can't return the rail. Rapha was highly expecting Sirius to be holding that angle, and correct he was. Instead, we have traded items now.
Yeah, he hasn't used the dual wield much. But of course, hasn't really had much opportunity to either. Not really, as in working too much in his favour. Good try, but a little bit of sprinkle of damage, so we say, with that 39. Mega's up in next second, but of course, Sirius looking to prioritise that heavy instead and seeing how and when and where rapha is going to rotate back around. But again, gets a little bit down, just a tickle, as he hits that big rail, and now there's going to be a chance for Sirius. Oh my God,
nice.
Rail straight afterwards, and this could be his time to shine here. 12 seconds to his next Mega. Another great rail again coming up from Sirius, as rapha has to back away, and you cannot continue to contest this Mega.
But a good thing for rapha, though, is that on that third shot, he was able to return with a rail of his own, which means that Sirius can't be as aggressive as he otherwise would have liked to be in that situation, I think. Now the heavy is open. Oh, what a choice from rapha. Rapha chose to ignore that heavy, allow Sirius to take it, but in doing so, create an angle that I just don't think anyone was looking out for, least of all Sirius, where at the end of the day, that heavy has not accomplished a huge amount. Back down to a regular standard stack, one that rapha himself can bring himself into to make this a pretty even fight. Now with our next item, it's going to be another Mega Health.
Yeah, still
rapha has been
left.
He's been so slippery so far, though, Harry.
He has. There's the angles with some of the shots that Sirius has had to try and claim. Oh, my goodness, it's been pretty unreal. But this is rapha for you in a nutshell. Textbook stuff, just extremely good reads and what rotations he needs to make in order to keep his distance and wait for the opportunity to come to him. A good amount of damage from that last rocket. And
It's a
good
good
double jump as
strategy.
well to avoid.
It's been a good strategy. I get similar vibes to this than when I saw Nosfa versus Strong Sage earlier today. I think rapha understands that we're two medium champions, and the only thing rapha's going to have with Doomslayer is that mobility. If we have a straight one-to-one gunfight, that is in favor of Sirius every step of the way, because Sirius and the dual wield, that is just going to be someone who already has really good damage output because of their accuracy. You're now chucking a dual wield on top of it, and rapha clearly understands that and is trying to change his style so heavily to work around that. That's why we've seen such a highly defensive play. These sort of mid-range LG fights and everything else that we saw on the Corrupted Keep and we've seen elsewhere too, they haven't existed. Now, Sirius did go in for that dual wield, but it seemed a little bit last minute to maybe prevent himself from going down, and rapha secures the frag. I can imagine it's a very frustrating style of play to go up against because you just can't pin your opponent down. You get a bit of damage and they're already long gone out of there. Sirius goes down again, and that's a bad time for it to happen. It's now 1 minute on the clock. rapha 2 frags in the lead.
Yeah, that could have been a final nail in a coffin there. rapha, a bit weak, but how good he's been defensively, just ridiculous. Just having such great position angles, just making it so difficult for Sirius to claim any of these frags, and he's really had to work for it, every single one of them. rapha does have a tiny bit of a better stack. I like that as well. He's actually bouncing back up to try and use that dual wield LG. And you kind of feel like he didn't really get a lot from his dual wield. He's going to try and do what he can with the rockets. Not going to happen, no.
GG.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying, I do feel like he didn't get much of that dual wield. I think he got more out of his passive more than anything else. But he seems, I don't know, a little bit shaky at the start. I'm not too sure what happened there, but yeah, it is what it is. But in the end, though, it's still putting a good performance nonetheless. So rapha will take that 3-0.
Yeah, no, Sirius, he gave a good display. I don't 100% really know what was happening from Sirius's side.
Something weren't right, though.
Yeah, I don't think something was quite right for him. I'm certainly not going to try and predict anything or speak on behalf of him in that, but overall, rapha still was able to get that win and is now looking a lot more comfortable on the leaderboards because of it. I think that final map, yes, we were talking about the potential of dual wield being really dangerous and the ranged play and Sirius maybe catering to his strengths as the best aimer for many of us. You know, a lot of us consider Sirius to be the best aimer out there right now. Just playing to shut that down was a clear thing for rapha. I think that's one of the main reasons we saw rapha be so defensive and heavily based on ranged positioning, right? Like, I'm gonna constantly play around your aggression here and your desire to force these fights. But at the same time, when you find an opportunity, I'm kind of already out. And at the same time, I've hit some kind of exit damage on the way. I think we saw that from rapha pretty much all map long. But yeah, those first 3 frags at the very beginning, some of them just felt really unusual. Like, I don't really know how they happened, but either way, what's done is done, I guess. And that's now rapha taking a good win, but not a win that he breezed through. Like, Sirius definitely made him work for that one.
He definitely did. Excuse me, 100%. It's like there's still that brick wall which Sirius is looking to smash through. He has. You've seen it in terms of the stats and the record anyway with the top players. He may have lost 3-0 against all of them, still looking to try and scrape a map, but it's not exactly losses on these maps which have been massively far apart or spiraled out of control. They've still been relatively close. Just needs to try and figure out what it is in his gameplay to really try and break through. He's got 5 to 6 weeks now to kind of try and figure that out, and 1 or 2 matches in a tournament environment to try and practice that in a serious setting. But if he could do it, I don't know, but he has a lot of potential. I feel like there is a chance he could. I still feel like he can still create some of his upsets, but against a player like rapha, when he's got just a ridiculous amount of dueling experience, which is basically just a wealth of gold for any Quake player, it's very tough to kind of adapt against it, even with no matter what aim skill you have.
Well, rapha seems to remain completely focused, and this is, I think, very common of rapha at this point in the season, where we are mere weeks away from the big finals, where of course the practice is going to amplify, the intensity of all that is just going to continue to go. And rapha is one of those players that you can definitely grow to expect. And if anyone wants to see rapha on a day-to-day basis, most days rapha tends to be streaming a lot of practice games against a lot of fellow Pro League level players. So I say Pro League level players, Pro League players that aren't in the weekly match, I suppose is a lot more accurate. So yeah, go check out rapha on stream and learn a thing or two. But that brings me on to our first of the 2 featured matchups that we're about to prepare for. The first one's going to be Maxter versus Zeneku, and after this short break, that first matchup will begin.